G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags. Today we're going to be taking a look at the two new Gryphon Spitfires, that is the Mark 14E and the Mark 18E. So for our first battle today we're taking a look at the Spitfire 14E. This is an Era 4 battle rank 5 fighter, 680 kilometers an hour top speed, 17.9 second turn time, 4,218 feet a minute climb rate. And this is with the first upgrade, the airframe complete. This, however, was my first battle in the plane, so at this point it is completely stock. Now the armament for both these aircraft is exactly the same. Two Mark II Hispano cannons with 240 rounds of ammunition and two 12.7mm Browning machine guns with 500 rounds of ammunition. This is effectively the same armament as the Spitfire Mark 16. Now what this means, this aircraft is fast, manoeuvrable, has an extremely good rate of climb and has very heavy firepower. Straight from the word go, dead stock. Fully upgraded, this thing will be a monster. However, it's worth noting at this time that this aircraft does not have a complete flight model. The Gryphon engine is not operating as correctly, and I'm not entirely sure the manoeuvrability is exactly right either. So this plane is likely to see some pretty severe changes in both flight model and BR rating in the future. But first up, Focke-Wulf 190 ahead. Second 190 off to the right. I'm just going to move in between them and see which one wants to engage me. Now I am squatted up in this battle with Bionic Sheep, one of my subscribers. He's broken out to the right hand side of the map while I'm taking the left. He has turned back as he's seen the second 190 moving into the area. But for at least the next few moments I'm going to be engaging these two aircraft solo. First 190 is making its pass. Just dip the nose down and roll underneath it, cause him to overshoot. Use the speed to pull back for altitude. Second 190 is making its pass. Move into head-on position so I'm ready to evade and duck underneath it. And then level out for speed so I'm ready to go evasive if the first 190 decides to dive back in. What I'm trying to do here is force them to both continually dive enough that they try and turn with me and they energy trap themselves. If they make the mistake of moving into that position, I will pull them apart. Unfortunately, they get smart and they make a shot at Bionic Sheep as he's approaching in. He dodges both their attacks, move into a climb with the first 190. Now this is risky going into a vertical climb like this, especially with the second. With both stall. Fortunately I don't get guns on, but I push absolute pitch down. Point the nose straight at the ground, keep it on full wep, put it straight into a dive as fast as I can. This thing will out-accelerate a D9 in a dive with no problems at all. Bionic passes, presenting two targets to the 190. Third player is moving into the area and I'm moving to intercept that second 190 and try and clear it out. Shots taken. Just roll the plane over, and that's, you can see the manoeuvrability of the aircraft. It was 700 kilometers an hour when I made that turn. There is some control stiffening doing this kind of a turn in this aircraft, so I wouldn't recommend doing this at low altitudes. You may end up pancaking, but it is still a manoeuvre that is tight enough that a D9 in a dive cannot follow. I've actually gone back to level at the moment. I'm looking around trying to work out where the hell the D9 went to after that. I think he shot down below the clouds trying to make that turn with me. I've lost track of him. Second 190 is above. Just tracking at 2Ks. He's got far more worrisome problems than me. So since I'm unlikely to make good bait at this stage in time, and that 190 still has two fighters on him, so he's more than covered at altitude at the moment, I'm trying to work out where the rest of their team's gone. So I duck down into the clouds, trying to disappear a little bit. I want to know exactly where they are. Just picking a nice thick point of cloud cover. What I'm planning on doing is just duck diving below the cloud cover, seeing what's there and then pulling straight back up. Two behind. Unfortunately I've came at a lot closer than I was anticipating. The enemy team is too close, ducking back in the clouds isn't going to really provide me a lot of cover here. So I'm going to move and engage them at low altitudes. Now first up, there's that 190 that went missing before. Just throttling up to wet, want to maintain speed while I'm at a high climb angle so I get these shots. Criticals in, and yeah, there's these planes wrecked. I just got to finish him off now before he can kill the target. And boom, first kill. Tighten the turn and duck back below the clouds. I can't see the rest of the targets, however somebody is taking a lot of AAA fire there. Second 190 is all over Bionic, so I move to assist. However, he manages to kill the 190, but not before it did crippling damage to him, so they both go down. And the scores are pretty even at this time. I've lost track of most of the enemy targets, just finding out exactly what happened with Bionic. Spot another 190 going down on the runway, but it crashes out, fails the landing, and there's a Do 217. Duck the nose down to close in. Now I'm engaging over the top of enemy AAA at this point, so I need to be careful here. Shots in. Don't want to overshoot, just pitch straight up. Roll, invert, reset myself to dive. Makes his turn wide. Second set of shots, critical damage to the tail, and that's all she wrote for him. Now, AAA is zeroing in on me here, so I fly straight for a split second to get a little bit of speed, then duck down in the opposite direction so the shots veer off to the left, and dive away. And that's their entire team eliminated, so let's move on to the results. So, first fly out in the Spitfire 14E. First place for the team with 2 kills, both players. Final blow, Terror of the Sky, bulletproof, 28,775 Silver Lions, 5,700 base RP flat, on a premium account on a double. And this was a really, really good match. I enjoyed playing it. The machine felt beautiful the whole way through. It's actually one of the first machines, newer machines, that I've felt that Gaijin's put into the game that had really good performance straight off the bat. Most of the newer machines I've found, they're okay, but generally their performance is pretty poor until you've got the upgrades on them. So this plane's going to be a really nice stock grind. So next up we have the Spitfire F Mark 18E. This one does 695 max speed, 17.6 in the turn, 4,466 feet a minute climb rate, still error 4, still battle rating 5.0. Still has exactly the same weapons loadout as the Mark 14. It's... ignore the stat card, it's the same plane. It looks like it should be slightly faster with a slightly higher rate of climb. Honestly, I noticed very little difference. Now just moving in to engage enemy F8Fs that are tangling with my teammates. I am flying this match solo. F8F pulls up sharp. Moving to pursue. Presented with 2 potential targets here. Decide to go for the second one. First hits in. Move to follow them in a dive. Engage the closest one first. A little low on the lead there, but not on that one. Aircraft dead. Moving on second F8F. Now this shows the manoeuvrability of this Spitfire. I'm going to engage this Bearcat into a hardcore turning fight. Now this thing's 0.7 battle rating higher than I am. Turns back over. We're effectively running a scissors here, and I keep getting back on his tail. Roll the plane, get above him. Close pass then. He goes for the high angle shot. I realise I'm not going to be able to pitch up fast enough to get that around easily. Turn to get underneath him. I do try a pitch up, but it was futile at best. I just don't have the speed on. Stall turn onto his tail. He's pulling straight up, but you can see his speed's dived off as well. He's nearly out. And realising my low energy situation, go to WEP and put it on the ground. However, I've energy trapped the Bearcat to the point where another Spitfire just comes in, cleans him up. He's out of the match. Just loop it over, looking for next targets. Now the Spitfire that just cleared my tail stirred up a hornet's nest. He took out the F8F, but not before he pissed off every single AI on the enemy team, and right now he's being swarmed by them all, so I'm just going to clear them off his tail. They're all in F4Fs. That's 50 caliber machine guns. If they get on the Spitfire, they will wreck the Spitfire, and with the way AI are flying in this patch, it wouldn't surprise me if they did. And with AI manoeuvrability and that aircraft, you'll never outmaneuver them or run them. So, first kill's down. Bring it around, I'll clear that second F4F. Even the Avenger's trying to have a go on him. And there we go, there's the fireball, and that's the AI Avenger out of the match. Now, that's cleared my teammate's tail, which is excellent, but it's basically blown my entire ammo load. I've only got 198 rounds of 50 caliber MG ammo left on board. Cannons are dry, so I'm RTB. Thankfully, the enemy team seemed to have exactly the same idea. It turns out me and the Spitfire I cleared before were both out of ammunition when we broke off. He headed to the south runway, I headed to the west runway. Splitting up just in case their enemy B-17 decided to attempt to bomb out one of the runways, he wouldn't get both of us at the same time. The entire enemy team, as it turned out, was on the ground at this stage in time doing exactly the same thing we're doing right now, so no problems. A nice smooth landing, turn it around, point it back down the runway, and back in the air in 15 seconds. So about 5 or 6 minutes have passed since takeoff, and I'm on the hunt. Now this match has effectively turned into a 2 versus 2. My team has 2 Spitfires, the enemy team has a P-51 and a B-17. And I've just located the P-51 pilot, so heading over in their direction. I don't want to head directly at him, just off center. And there's the B-17, both are in this area, so just quickly target the B-17 then switch back. So the allied Spitfire knows they're both over here. I don't have time to type it in chat at the moment. Duck underneath the P-51 and he turns. Why does he turn with a Spitfire? Why? Duck underneath him. Just keep the throttles at 100. No need to go to WEP at this point. Just pick the lead, careful shots. No, not quite enough lead on the second burst. But I've got him now, there's no way for him to escape this. No, there's some good critical hits. I'll follow him down to the ground, I'm not worried about a B-17 getting too far away from my guns. And yeah, he's dead, he's in a dive, he's going down. This guy killed himself the second he started turning with me. He neutralised the energy advantage that he may have had at the start of the fight in order to be able to run from an equal energy situation. Any of the Gryphon Spitfires can keep up with a P-51. As soon as he turned and gave up his energy advantage, he died. And now we're about another 8 minutes on. Now remember what I said before about not worrying about getting a B-17 from getting too far away from my guns? While I was in that fight, somehow it managed to extend the gap out to about 12 kilometres and I had to trace it down. Thankfully, the Allied Spitfire is already all over him, and he has taken a beating. His left engine, one of his left engines is destroyed, one of his right engines is destroyed. He's got multiple damage to different surfaces across the aircraft. Most of its tail gunners have been eliminated, so it should be a simple matter of making a head-on pass first, see if I can get a cockpit snipe, if not, fall in on the tail and finish the plane. Just carefully trying to line this B-17 up. Shots shoot a little bit too low, but I get the chin gunner, so that's another gunner out of the way. I don't think it's really got anything left. Drop in on the tail. I have no fear of the back end of this thing now. With no gunners on, this is just a crapshoot. Line up the left-hand side, and I don't know why you did that. That was a waste of a perfectly good aircraft. That B-17 was dead. There was no way it was going to get away. It had no defensive gunners. It was already 2 engines down. It was just a target. Just finish off the engines. What was more annoying than that is he still had ammo on board as well. He could have just helped me shoot it down. But that's the match. So, the results for this match. First place for the team, 5 kills. 2 players, 3 AI. Final blow, Survivor. Terror of the Sky. 59,805 silver lions and 3,298 research points. Just base research points, no modifiers applied. And that match was good enough to finish off the radiator upgrade as well as unlock a number of the ammunition belts. So, not a bad match overall. Now, there are 2 questions to ask of these 2 new Gryphon Spitfires, the Mark 14 and the Mark 18E. First question is, are they any good? Well, yes, they're very, very, very good aircraft, in fact. I'm pretty sure both these aircraft are using the same flight model, with very little modification between the two, and I think they're both going to be one of the easiest stock grinds that anybody will have in the game. They are beautiful, beautiful to fly straight from day one. Second question, is this aircraft overpowered or under-tiered? Well, yes, it's under-tiered badly. Basically what's happened here is you have an aircraft that is faster and more manoeuvrable with a higher rate of climb than the Spitfire Mk with exactly the same armaments as the Spitfire 16 at 0.3 battle rating below the Spitfire 16. How did this happen? Well, I think this aircraft being put into the game was matched against the P-51Ds, and currently they're at least 0.3 battle rating below where they should be as well, which means any aircraft compared against them for terms of balance is going to wind up under-tiered because the original source aircraft is under-tiered. In the end, it's another Gryphon Spitfire. It's a good aircraft, a very, very, very good aircraft that at the moment has an incomplete flight model and still needs work done. Is it worth getting? Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I really do enjoy the plane. I do enjoy the Gryphon Spitfires in general. Anyways, ladies and gents, I'm going to call this one here. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.